I'm gonna do some quick stretches to help with the lower back. A lot of times we get different forms of impingement in our lower back when we're starting an exercise routine. So I won't go over all the reasons why. We're just going to try and address what we can do if our lower back starts to hurt us. Don't mind the clunking upstairs. Gianna is home today wearing high heels, so we'll just ignore that. When you're addressing the low back, we want to find first a state that it feels comfortable in. If sitting on your knees isn't comfortable, you want to sit on a stool or a chair, a bolster, and a yoga block. So I'm going to go to the easiest, and then you can just play by ear what feels most comfortable for you, so I don't have to be doing every single progression to this. So we are just putting our hands both on our lower lumbar spine and right across just above the pubic symphysis in between the two SI joints, okay? So we're just going to take a breath in through the nose, feeling the breath go all the way down. And when you breathe down into your belly, you also want your back to do a little bit of movement, okay? It's good to have movement and not rigidity in through our lumbar spine, okay? Especially when we're exercising. We want to be able to place that rigidity in there with a abdominal contraction or a glute contraction or a pelvic floor contraction, but we don't want to be rigid there all the time, because then if you go and twist and reach for something and there's rigidity in that lower back, you'll know it the next day because your lower back will be speaking to you, okay? Because your QL muscle or your lower lumbar fascia will be feeling a little dicey, okay? So quickly just breathing in 4 or 5 times. My usual number is in between 3 and 4, but everybody's is going to be different. And now you're just going to tuck your tailbone. So you're pulling in and then breathing there and see if that feels comfortable. So allowing that spine in the back to open up a little bit. If you feel your tailbone or your sit bones are sensitive, you might want to put a pillow underneath, because you can still feel that deviation in the pelvis. This is a posterior pelvic tilt. Your pelvis is tilting backwards. Make sure you don't roll your shoulders forward. So we're maintaining that upward chest posture. Chin is in. So 4 or 5 breaths there. If it's uncomfortable and feels pinchy, go back to neutral and then go into an anterior pelvic tilt. When our knees are up like this, an anterior pelvic tilt isn't as easy. So we're going to put our legs here. Okay, and so we're going to tilt forward. Inhaling and exhaling. Again, I'm watching a video, so we're not going to talk, okay? Or I'm doing a video, okay? And so if you feel pinching in here, go back to that neutral and find which one feels comfortable out of those 3 positions. So now, addressing the glute med and piriformis. We're going to stretch out the glute med, whether you're sitting on the floor or in a stool or a chair. This is going to be a little bit harder because that knee's past 90 degrees, and way harder if you're sitting on the floor, right? Because your back is going to want to arch. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to push yourself forward and scoot your butt. G, remember? Scoot your butt as close to your heel as possible. It has to be a silent workout for you, okay? And again, 3 or 4 breaths. The key to any of these stretches that I'm going to do with you is, once you feel a significant stretch, no pain, you're going to hold there for that 4 or more breaths, however many you want. But the biggest thing that people do is they instantly use that muscle to get out of the stretch. So instead of that, we're going to do anything but use that muscle to get out of that stretch. So I could have a pillow back behind me if I didn't feel comfortable rolling back onto my yoga mat, and do this to get out of the stretch, okay? Or I can come down here and get out of the stretch, okay? Going to the other side, I'm gonna go back onto the stool, and a chair would be easiest because your hips are more parallel to the floor. So it'd be less of a stretch in through that piriformis. So we're just keeping that chest upright. Big breath in. A lot of times when stretches hurt, we hold our breath. A stretch should never hurt. We only go to that physiological barrier. Do a couple breaths there. If in your exhale, that physiological barrier changes or moves, you can go a little bit past it, but no pain. After that, 4 or 5 breaths, however many you want to do. You can stay here for a minute if you want, okay? The longer you stay here, the more likely it is that you're going to actually relieve that muscle and get that stretch to stick. But the longer you stay there, the more the brain is going to want to recoil. So what you want to do is make sure, again, that you do anything but contract that muscle. You passively get out of that stretch, okay? So by doing that stretch, you're going to be listening to your body. So for me, I felt my QLs and my erector muscles, which are right down here. Your QLs come here, right? Causing to do your side bends, okay? And your erector muscles do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to address that muscle. So stretching here, my favorite one is up against the wall. You're going to take your leg that's closest to the wall and bring it in front of the stabilizing leg here. Placing your arm up and just slightly in front, you're going to allow yourself to lean into the wall. The further you are away from the wall, the more of a stretch you're going to feel. So don't go too far off the start. Start really, really close to the wall and gradually progress out, okay? Once you're in that stretch, you want to maintain that neutral spine, making sure that you're not feeling any pinching or discomfort in that lower back. No discomfort or pinching in the shoulders, so if that's not comfortable for you, it's okay to go here, because the stretch is happening in here, okay? And again, when we're getting out of this stretch after 4 or 5 breaths, you're going to push yourself with this hand and this hand away from the wall so that you're not using that QL to get out of that stretch, okay? If you don't have a wall near you, you can also use a chair. I use it as my ballet bar. You can use a chair to do that stretch as well. So I'm going to be stretching this side. The bar is going to be, hey, G, remember? Shh, silence. I'm going to be stretching this side. Okay, so we're going to be coming here. Abs are in, core is in, flex the glutes. Shoulder blades back and down. Okay? You're not going to get as significant of a stretch as if you're able to do this. Therefore, sometimes coming closer and being able to come over. But here's the kicker. Just falling over into this stretch is not going to give you a proper QL and oblique stretch. What we need to do is keep the spine nice and long and stretch. So therefore, looks a lot different than this. Notice how my hips moved, and then now I'm getting more of a stretch in through the side glute, okay? We want to be here nice and tall, and we're almost like we're reaching up and away. Creating nice long lines, no pain, breathing in that place. Once you're done that, this one, you can still push off with your hands, but I like to do this. Just a little circle, bend through the knees, and stand up, okay? Now we're gonna go into a standing mid-back to erector stretch, okay? So nice wide stance. We're gonna be here. Arms are gonna come out like this, okay? Knees are soft. If you feel a stretch in your hamstrings, bend them more, okay? Not to be stretching the hamstrings right now. We're finding that neutral spine for yourself, so just go in and out to find it, okay? Then you're going to gaze down towards the floor, just slightly in front of you, or towards kind of the anchor of your ballet bar. You're going to inhale as you drop your chest down towards the floor, feeling a light stretch. I rotate my arms and breathe here for a couple. Good. Using my knees to roll back up, because I don't want to use those muscles to roll back up. Then I'm coming into more of a rounded back position. So my knees are a little bit less bent. And I'm doing 4 or 5 breaths here. You'll be feeling now the stretch in through serratus, in through the mid-back, if that's where you're tight. Still putting, 20 to 30% of your pressure into the wrist, into the ballet bar or the chair. When you're done this stretch, if you want, you can go back into this one and see if you've gotten a little bit more space, right? A little bit more stretch. Your back should not be hurting, so find that neutral. That knees. The knees are bent because we're not stretching hamstrings. And then we're rolling back up one vertebrae at a time. One vertebrae at a time, pulling in that core and coming back up. Kind of using your arms to push you back up. So we've stretched now. Piriformis, piriformis, QL, QL. We've stretched some obliques, okay? Now we've stretched erector and mid-thoracic spine, okay? Now we want to stretch the abdomen a bit, okay? Which is sometimes tricky, so pillows underneath the hips are great if you have pinching in the lower back. Do I have any? Yes, I have a pillow. I was with a client yesterday and she said she feels it's comfortable for her lower, like to lower her lower back to do
she
some.
said it looks stupid.
Hey, to do some of her reading here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come and just put a little bit more height into that pillow so that even when you come into baby cobra, it's not as aggressive of a stretch. The lower legs are nice and relaxed. I can move forward a little bit here. Okay, and again, you're breathing, gently pushing. If you want to go extra, you're just gently pushing up from here. Bring the hands back, keep the shoulders down, pecs in between biceps. Again, not hurting. You're feeling, if anything, the stretch in through here. Okay, once you've done a stretch there, a few breaths, what we're going to do is release that lower back by releasing the psoas and the diaphragm. We're going to do about 2 minutes on each side, theoretically, but today I'm just going to do about 10 to 12 breaths on each side. So we're going to take that psoas and we're going to make sure that we maintain compression on it with the ball. Okay, I like to use a pillow, a mat. I like to make this nice and comfy. If I'm going to sit here for 2 minutes and focus on my breathing with some nice, gentle music, I find a place. This is my happy place, is releasing some of these muscles. So I'm going to find that psoas. Yes, there might be a little bit of discomfort. There might even be some like burning, pinching. If you don't feel a release after 2 minutes, please stop. Even 1 minute. You should feel it definitely go down from the number of tenderness that you give it after even a minute. Hey, Gianna, please, Bip. Just a little quieter. Okay? No, yeah, you are. I can hear you singing. Okay, so now we're just going to lay here. Okay, relaxing the leg. If you want to activate the opposing muscle group, okay, it's called reciprocal inhibition. You're going to just gently, if you feel comfortable, lift the leg, inhaling, and then exhale, relax that leg down and let it relax into the floor, and you'll feel a shift and a depth of that gorgeous ball go into the psoas. Breathing. We'll also do it. There's 3 ways to do an MET. You can also push the knee. You can't tell I'm doing it, but push the knee into the floor with your inhale, and then exhale, relax everything. And you're going to feel that fascia just sink over top of the ball sink into the fascia of the psoas, right at the side of the belly button. You're going to maintain that pressure and breathing. Don't forget to breathe. If you feel all of a sudden, I just noticed I'm like, oh my, I'm tight in the back. It's because I'm not relaxing. Look at that. I didn't let go. So just letting go. Now it's down to a 0 out of 10. I've done my 10 breaths at least. I'm going to use my upper body and my knee, both of my knees, to just gently pull myself up, or you can gently roll off the ball. Okay? Doing the other side, kind of see, right, what it looks like from the other side with my knee up out to the side. Your knee doesn't have to be completely out to the side, right? We want to maintain a neutral hip. So off to the side of the belly button, between the rib and the hip, never on the ribs. And breathing, finding a couple breaths first to feel comfy. And I honestly don't even have a number here, so I wouldn't really stay on it for very long. I might do 1 MET, because sometimes we're really good at guarding and it shocks us. So I might do 1 MET by contracting my glute max and erector here. And then exhale, relax back down over top of the psoas and And yeah, I still don't have a number. And some of you might increase the number there, so then that would give you kind of the go ahead to release that. So I'm going to use my hands and my knees to come back up. And we can come into our child's pose here. If we have knee issues, putting pillows underneath the knees, definitely beneficial. Just a gentle stretch here, relaxing the head and breathing. A glute med stretch here is putting the legs closer together, stacking even more pillows, and walking to one side. Pressing the hip gently out to the side. You're gonna feel that glute med. Get a little bit of a stretch. Relax your head into your arm. So that we're eliminating that tension in our body, giving yourself that stretch. To get out of that stretch, we're bringing the hands in underneath our body and pressing up with our upper body. Doing the other side, the hips start at center. We reach out, and then we drop and relax that head gently down. Inhale through our nose, and exhale through our mouth. Allowing just our exhaling gravity to gently take us deeper into the stretch. No need to press it or force it. Not looking for any type of discomfort or pain. If there's discomfort or pain, we back out of it a little bit. I have a little bit of pinching in here, so I backed out of it a bit. No point. Your body will only let you go so far and get away with so much. That's why we have compensation patterns. Bring through, up, and take a little breather. Finishing off with just an active movement is that cat-cow. So we're going to bring the toes underneath our body. We're looking ahead, and we're just going to into that pelvic drop, right? And then tuck. So posterior pelvic tilt, inhale, and exhale. Notice that my arms aren't bending or moving. Okay. After we do a couple breaths there, you're going to slowly but surely come back up. And our last thing that I like to demonstrate and show people is a quad release and a hamstring release. So the quad release is direct, meaning it's directly on your quad. So I'm going to find a place on my quad that is juicy, tender, painful, for lack of a better word. I'm going to hang out there for that 2 minutes or until that number goes down. If you have lower back issues, we can have pillows all over the place. We can have a pillow here so that you're not feeling like you have to maintain that core posture the whole time. Okay, so we're going to be here. And find that spot that's pretty tender. Now we're going to do three different kinds of METs. We're going to contract the hamstring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then slowly relax and allow that quad and hamstring to relax. That might increase the number, but then it will slowly start allowing it to decrease, right? It'll get deeper into that fascia and into that muscle belly. And then we can do an MET with an inhale. Just let all the air in, fill up the lungs right into the lower back and core, and then exhale. Let yourself relax, even if it's all the way down to the floor. So my number's already dropped from a 6 to now a 2, almost enough that I could get off. But I'll just take it one more further with contracting the quad by pushing the foot into the floor with my inhale. And then exhaling, allowing myself to relax and go all the way down. And it's a 1, kind of spike back up to a 3. I always assess the number, not when I am in an MET or just coming out of it. Wait a couple breaths, and then it's like, okay, now it's a 0. Good. Okay, popping off of that, I'm just going to roll. It's easy to roll off these tune-up balls. Doing the other side, same, right? I like to keep my other knee protected. Find that spot. Hang out there for a hot minute. Do those same 3 METs. I need to do this, so I'm going to do it. Hope you guys are doing it with me. Contract the quad. And exhale, relax. And again, contract the quad. And relax. Sometimes intuitively you just know that contracting the quad is going to work past a couple layers faster than if you do just a breathing MET or a hamstring. And I'm going to go into the hamstring MET. 1, 3, 4, 5. If your hamstring feels like it's going to cramp, just stay there. It's going to be fine. Or just back out a little bit, but don't drop your leg all the way down quite yet. And then relax out of that hamstring MET. Be mindful that you're not arching your back. You'll be here. And it's almost 0. And I'm going to roll off and done. Hamstring. So coming down and seeing how much flexibility I have is a really good indication, and see how your hamstrings feel. Okay, do be quiet. Almost done. Your hamstrings, right? See how much flexibility your hamstrings have. Okay, so I have really short legs, so don't be deceived. But I feel a really good stretch in the belly of my hamstrings, nothing too much in the core or the back of the knees or the calves. So that's good. We'll say it's my hamstrings. One is a little bit tighter than the other. So I'm going to see how now, after I do a fascial release of my feet, so you're going to find any tenderness in the fascia of your feet. Okay, might have to kind of roll. You can see it kind of rolling side to side here, and front and back. Again, same thing. Feet are really strong. Fascia is super tight there. Sometimes you have to hang out there for a little while to even feel it. A lot of people get on and they're like, oh, it doesn't hurt. Some people get on and they're like, oh my gosh, it hurts so bad. We all have a different central nervous system and attachment to our feet and our fascia. So be easy with yourself. It should not hurt like a 10 out of 10. Let's go back. Make it so that, you know, it's somewhere between an 8 out of 10 to start is fine. Here's my 6. I'm gonna hang out there and breathe. Not stressing any other body part, even if I'm holding onto the wall. Keeping my conscious posture, right? So you're not just sitting here like this, okay? Be mindful of what you are doing when you're here. And then you are going to see, before you move on to the other leg, just see how that feels in a forward fold of that hamstring, of the foot fascia that you just did. I don't even feel a stretch in here anymore, and that was the tightest one. So pretty cool little trick I learned when I first started doing Courgeous ball and tune-up ball stuff. Good, find that spot. Good dog hair in a row all day long. Don't we, G? Dog hair.
You got that on the video.
I did. It's okay. It's a pretty chill video. We're just stretching, showing people how to stretch. I think it's important that they know that I do most of my work and workouts with you in the house, hey?
Mm-hmm. Now all of that is
on video.
It's on video.
But a lot of people feel like they can't work out when their kids and grandkids are around. But I'm like, why not? Just work out with our kids. It's so good for us. Okay, so I've let that one go down. This foot's a little more tender, which is interesting, because I definitely did feel the hamstring. But it went really quickly. Okay, and then I'm just going to go back down and assess that. I'm not looking for this to be a stretch. I'm just looking for this to be an assessment of how tight the hamstrings feel. And now they don't feel tight at all. So I'm going to come back up, bending through the knees and lifting through the quads instead of the hamstrings. All right, I hope that you do this a couple times through and see how your back feels. We're going to go with a core strengthening and back strengthening video for our next set.